We're jumping in on the welcome to the Quantum Thinking Sales Bootcamp training, and you're picking up the last part of a really interesting conversation about productivity and just a lot of things. So continue on, Kenny, because this is good stuff.
Um, so we're just looking at, having a driver that wouldn't do, like, he wouldn't help out the guys, but he would just drive and then what he would do during his spare time. Um, I was like, one of the things that when I had Levi, when I helped me for a little bit there with estimating, that forced me into making a better system for estimates, where I knew I had to make it easier for him or more simplified. Like, we have a standard template for questions. When we do like a roof, for example, there's more complicated things than a roof, but for a roof, we've got standard questions, and those questions, that template should have all the questions that we need. And if we get all those answers, that should give us enough information to get an estimate out. Anybody, and then the layout should be not similar to an estimate template. And then it could be as simple as just going through and clicking the quantities. Um, I think it could be, for the most part, be as simple as, just going through and filling out the numbers. Um, that way, make it easier for somebody else. I mean, there'd be a lot of work that need to go into that to simplify it for so other people could do it.
So, Luke, how long have you had a driver driving you for sales?
Mm, he's been on about
No, 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 no,
two,
no, 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 I didn't say him. How
oh,
long have you had
um,
a driver driving you for sales?
6 months.
6 months. And how much time a week do you think that driver is just sitting there?
Mm, like 8 hours.
8 hours a week?
That's my guess.
Yeah, it's fine. And are you, what are you thinking right now?
Gonna leverage that time.
Okay. What else are you thinking?
Mm, it's like not sure. Or
So, you've been working 8 hours more than what you need to be working for the last 6 months and didn't even know it. And it's based on how you think or don't think. My mom and dad were just monsters in productivity. Like monsters. Like you just didn't waste any food. I mean, when I was a little boy, we did over at Emmanuel Baptist Church in Appleton, Wisconsin. And my dad at the job site, my dad had us go ahead and pick up sticks, and we got, I don't know, a penny for every stick we picked up. I don't know if we got paid or we just had to do it, but we'd go around when he's building the church, we'd go around the construction site and we'd go ahead and get all the nails that were bent and we'd have to straighten them. You didn't waste anything. You don't waste time. You don't waste anything. And both my parents, especially my mom, like she understood, especially boys, but girls too. Like you just don't waste. You don't idle hands. Or, what do they say? Idle hands make the devil's workshop or something like that. And so they just, and so I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know that was going on. I'm like, and should have I? Like, I mean, looking back, I'm like, Mark, questions, Luke?
Mm, no, I don't think so.
Kenny, what you got?
Um, thinking there's, I had a like, I talked with a few, one of our supplier, we were looking at renting a machine, and I don't know if it was just a miscommunication or not. But on me reserving it for a week, and then a few, I think a day later, they told me it wasn't available for like more than 2 days. Um, it kind of threw us into a loop. But when I thought about one idea I had when I ran into that issue was like, if we had, so there's two things happen here, because one's kind of, I'm kind of tied up where I'm at in servicing, so I don't have time where I would usually have time to take care of all the scheduling and make sure everything's there for the guys.
One thing that Katrina's going to learn is that she's going to learn never say, I don't have time. What she's going to learn to say, and the secret about time, is she's going to learn to say it's not a high enough priority. So if you say, I'm not going to do scheduling because I'm doing servicing or something like that, because it's not a high enough priority. Does anyone know why that's such an effective way to think and talk?
Because it values your priorities, or
Well, it's the truth. And the Bible talks about, the truth will set you free. So it jams your senses. So the reason I don't spend more time with my wife, it's not a high enough priority. The reason I don't spend more time with my kids, it's not a high enough priority. The reason I don't spend more time with my grandkids, it's not a high enough priority. When you speak the truth jams your brain and say, should it be? I mean, am I thinking properly? And so now Kenny's, I don't know the situation. All I'm doing is looking at it from 30,000 feet. And so he's got two pretty important, really important priorities. And so you know, how does he do that? So this is a plug for the 30-day challenge. Keep going, Kenny.
Um, then I didn't know at what point should we look at having, somebody there for, taking all the phone calls from our supplier, basically a scheduler, where they would their job would be to coordinate everything, and if anything's needed, that would be their responsibility to get it out there.
Right? So Nora's got a client, an Action Vision client, and Ginger Ann was telling me yesterday about somebody selling him some phone system and wants to charge him $500 a month. And it's pretty interesting, pretty fascinating. I've never heard of anything like it. And so not sure what it consists of and everything like that. Um, Talked to your grade school teacher yesterday. So that was really interesting. That is recorded, and so if you want to listen to it, you can. Um, Nice. Other questions or thoughts, Kenny?
No, I don't think so.
So communicating to me and what's going on. So I know, so you guys are in the trenches. So 15 years ago, a couple days ago, we had our first grandson. So Daniel now is 15 years old. And so when Ginger Ann was pregnant with our first grandson, I started polling everybody and other grandfathers. And I said, what would be one suggestion you would give me to be an amazing grandfather? Man, the advice I got was insane. His grandfathers are cool. They just are. Man, was it good. And so my Uncle Gary, really super smart guy, tons of insights. Like he sees stuff that other people don't see. And and I asked him if his kids gave him a lot of advice, yeah, or asked for a lot of advice. He laughs. He said, "No, not really. They don't." And I said, "Are you okay with that?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "They're in the trenches." So I was impressed that he had the humility that he did. I'm not sure, maybe, uh, like I'm not sure if he knew the value. I don't know, but I valued his input a lot. I mean, a lot. And so you guys are in the trenches. You guys, so when you see the earth, from an inch from the ground, you see something. When it's a foot from the ground, you see something else. When it's 10 feet, 30,000 feet, your vantage point, and so you want to get different vantage points. You want to see the situations from different vantage points. And grandfathers, men that are over 60, like they can see things that are insane. Like Alvin Miller, he can see stuff that it's like, wow, how do you see that? I'm like, man, I never thought of things like that before. So how do you go ahead and kind of download and just throw up and say, here's everything that I've got? And all of a sudden they'll see it from a different perspective. And it's not just grandfathers, grandmothers too. And it's not just men over 60. It's younger, older. Like there's a whole bunch of vantage point. I'll never forget the story of there was this dump truck that, was driving, and somehow the bed came up and it got under a bridge. It hit a bridge and it got pinned and they couldn't get it out. It was so stuck. And all these men that had all these experience, and firefighters and police officers and everybody trying to get this dump truck, unstuck. And one of the firefighters boys, he was like 7 years old or something, and they couldn't figure out how to get this dump truck out. And this 7-year-old boy, one of the firefighters, comes up and they're struggling, like, how are we going to get this thing out? The little 7-year-old boy says, Daddy, why don't you just let the air out of the tires? Like, dang. And so small children too. So, Luke, what you got?
So, like we've talked a little bit before about the driver, and his downtime. Like, how do I train him? What do I give him to do in that downtime?
So, first thing you do, so in decision making, you generally go ahead and start off with the expressive energy. So the expressive energy, and just brainstorm, like, well, just throw it down. There's no bad ideas. You just throw everything down. What could he do? He could do this, 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 this. And it's not just about you, it's your time, but it's also, well, what about Kenny's time? What about my time? Could he go ahead and do things for me? So could he do things for you? Good. Could he do things for Kenny? Good. Could he do things for me? Good. Could he do things for Kevin? Like who can he do things for? And so you throw up everything on a spreadsheet on a piece of paper. You just go ahead and you use the expressive. You don't come up. You don't analyze the ideas. You don't do anything. So you do the Expressive is great at coming up with all kinds of ideas. Well, what are all the ideas? You get them all on a piece of paper. The driver then has an innate ability. I don't know how, they just do. They have an innate ability to take the 10 things, 100 things, 1,000 things, and they're like, these two are the best. I mean, they're crazy on how good they are at that. The others often struggle. And so another time we can go into maybe why that is. Then what you do is you get the best 2 or 3 ideas, and then you dish it off to the analytic, and the analytic will say, okay, how are we going to figure this thing out? Like these are best 2 ideas, and how are we going to figure these things out? And then you go ahead and then you give it to the amiable to execute. I've always thought that the reason that an amiable executes best is because they're most stubborn of all 4 personalities. Man, they get locked on something, and it's like bedrock concrete. This could be good or it can be really bad. But I hadn't thought about it until right now. I thought, well, there's another reason you want to get them to execute, because they tend to go ahead and can get people to do things that the other 3 personalities cannot get them to do. Make sense, Luke?
Mm-hmm.
And from a big picture, that's just what you do. Like when you're wanting to implement, and all 4 personalities have to learn to submit. Like the analytic wants to go ahead and crush all the ideas. Hey, well, that won't work. Well, this won't work. Well, how are we going to do that? You don't do that. It's not, you got to separate the expressive from the analytic with the driver, because the driver can bring what the expressive is going to do. Is the expressive is going to come up with ideas, and the analytic is going to shoot them down, and it's going to burn out the expressive. Analytics will burn out the expressive. Expressive will burn out the analytic. The driver, believe it or not, can actually go ahead and your other 99 ideas are not bad. This is just the one that's going to make you money and give you time back. And that's what you want, time and money, because then you can do another 10 ideas. And once you get those, you can do all 99 ideas. Well, that one idea you chose, that's not the most fun. I know it's not the most fun, but it'll make you the most money, give you most time, and then you can do your other 99 ideas. So it's up to you. And so the analytic will go ahead, the driver will say, to the analytic, well, hey, you don't need to kill the other 99 ideas. They just don't need to be implemented right now. Just focus on the one. Just focus on the one. Get the one and make sure it works well. Your responsibility is to make sure that one idea works. And so all of the personalities have to learn to submit to one another. We've been working on flow for a long time. Kenny and I for 4 years. Man, is it hard. Holy cow, is it hard. And I never thought of this until right now. And so flow may come back down to submission, where submission to one another. And so I never thought about that. So when do you submit? It's like trusting the integrity of the system. That's what it is. And so I have a role, and so I have 62 years of experience, so I have a certain role. And Katrina, Nora, and Elaine, and I think Rosanna was on, had the most fascinating conversation. It wasn't recorded, but we're trying to capture that conversation. And so trust is about submission. And so, like, when should Katrina submit to me, like, and what I think is best? And there's times I should submit to her too, for everybody's benefit. And so if she and I are in flow, it's really not hard. Like, it's not hard at all. But as she gains more experience and more confidence, it'll become harder for her to do that. Katrina, what you got?
So, like, you've told me already how you're concerned that, like, I changed my thinking to, like,
Yep.
from how it is now.
Yep.
And, like, I don't want that to happen. So, like, what do I do? How can I prevent from, like, getting there?
I mean, be really aware of it. And then, I don't know, try to figure out. I mean, you're a 20-year-old young woman. Like, how are you supposed to go ahead and understand men as a 20-year-old woman? I don't know. I mean, how do I understand 20-year-old women? Well, I was married to one, okay? And then I had 4 daughters who were all 20. So I don't know. So I studied them because that's what good dads do. It's what good husbands do. They study like crazy, study hard. I mean, so I had, grandkids' birthday party and, you know, two of my adult daughters, and the conversations that I had with them yesterday, we could have a whole pocket. But you have a dad, you have a grandfather. I think you have a grandfather who's, so so you study your dad and you study your grandfathers. You study men that, and what's the heart of a grandfather? They say that when a man has his first grandchild, his brain literally changes. You take a brain scan of a man before he has his first grandchild, and then his first grandchild born, his brain changes. That's what they do, medical evidence. And after Daniel was born, I believe it. I believe it. Like your brain literally changes. So if you understood, like if you can understand the heart of a father, if you can understand the heart of a grandfather, like it's not about ego and it's not about me being right, you being wrong. Um, it's about me helping you do what God put you on this planet to do. That's what it's about. And so that's my heart. And if you don't have a heart like that, which you can't because you're 20 years old, you can't have the heart of a man who's 62. You can't have a heart of a father because you've never been a father. You'll never be a father. You can't have a heart of a grandfather, but you can look at your dads and you can look at your grandfather and other grandfathers and say, a grandfather's heart is pretty crazy hard. Like it's just, and so if you can understand, the heart, like right now with my girls, my granddaughters, I mean, from birth, I've been investing into them to where when they become teenage girls, they're going to probably date some goofball. And grandpa wants to have enough firepower in them, enough adventures in them, enough trust of them to say, honey, it's up to you, sweetheart. But listen to your parents. And hopefully their parents are smart enough. This guy is going to hurt that precious little girl. Sweetheart, I know your heart is all over the place, but this guy, he's not, he's going to hurt you, honey. And I hope that, are they going to listen to me? 15 years of my life have been invested, 16, 17, 18, 19 years of my life has been invested for the moment in time when they could make a choice that will change their lives forever. Like, Mark, are you saying you're investing like 18 years of your life into those precious little girls where you're tickling them, giggling them every time? Grandpa, can we go on an adventure? Grandpa just had an 18-hour day. He's exhausted. He doesn't want to go on an adventure, but he will. He will go on that adventure. He will go every week to swim lessons, and he will go ahead and give them rides on his shoulders, horsey rides. He will do that for years, for that one moment when they need to listen to grandpa, because grandpa knows what he's talking about. I don't know how to transfer that, Katrina. It's a great question. I don't know, like if you write down things and say, Mark's like he's this and he's this and he's this and he's this, and I've seen him in this and this and this and this situation. Like he's got my best interest at heart. Like I'm right between, I'm younger than his youngest, his youngest son is 25. I'm 20. So I'm younger than his, right in between. You're perfectly in between my youngest son and my oldest granddaughter or grandson. So he's 15. My youngest son is 25. You're 20. And so like he wants the best for me. And so I think we as friends and we work together and family, everything. It's like it seems to me, Katrina, that people just forget. They just forget. It's like I did this for you, and I did this and this and this, and I was there for you, and this and this, and I did this and this and this. What doesn't matter? Well, how can it not matter? So Mary, Jesus' mother, it talks about in the Bible 2 or 3 times where she hid things in her heart because she could feel, because a mother feels, she could feel. So she felt that she's going to have some pretty rough times. And so she hid things in her heart. So it's a great question. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that question in my life. Other questions, Katrina?
No, that was it.
Kevin, what do you have?
So yesterday I was watching the 3-for-1 principle, and I couldn't connect the dots on how I could implement that on like construction, like on
Oh,
site.
so great. Um, so who's the most efficient worker you know? Like in your whole life, your family, friends, everybody you've ever worked with. Who's the most efficient worker that you know?
Right, Kenny?
Not right? Like I've worked with him. Like, yeah. So what you do is you reverse engineer his time. Does anybody know where Kenny's stronger at work than I am on efficiency?
Physical labor or
What's that?
the physical labor?
If you factor in the 62-year-old guy when he's laying the heart deck, I did pretty good. So if you ask Kenny, how's Mark? And he probably, I would say, for a 62-year-old guy, he can keep up pretty good physically. I mean, I'm not 25, but Mark can work physically hard. Like he can work hard. So it's not physical. Kenny's going to do better at connecting with people. His amiable and expressive kicks in, and so he's going to have more fun. But he doesn't take it too far. Like he has fun. He knows how to work and he knows how to play and he knows how to mix it together ish. I mean, he has his dad inside his head saying, Kenny, don't play. Get to work. Like, Kenny, don't do this. Don't have fun. I don't know. I'm not saying that. His dad might be like me, but it serves him well. Where I probably am going to be stronger than him is, in part because of my age, is leverage. Like I'm looking for opportunities to leverage everything, transfer it over, get people more productive, all of those type of things. And so you study them. And so if you write things out on your, like if you're intentional, like once I asked Nora, I said, okay, what do you like most about working with me? And she said, how intentional you are. And so intention gives us the ability to have multiple lifetimes in one life. And so this is where, if you haven't been through the 30-day challenge, you want to go through the 30-day challenge. If you've been through it, you want to go through it again. And this time you want to go through it with the Life GPS because it's a totally different experience, because you're going to go, it tracks you. It tracks what you're doing when you're doing it. And so it's very, very powerful. So Katrina's leading up a group. And this is my granddaughter, Elena. She's a fireball. She's got she's a sassy one. Grandpa loves her like crazy. And so she was 3 when she did that, I think. She went through the 30-day challenge, and her mom would be like, or her sister, we got to listen to Grandpa. And she'd listen to Grandpa's, video, like the 3-for-1. And she's like, Mommy, I don't know what ground is. I don't know what he's saying. I'm so tired. And so she's going to remember that. And she might not from the memory, but from the picture. That's why pictures are so powerful. And so, is Katrina going to have one of these? Yeah, let's say yes. And is it going to be twice as big as this? I'm not concerned about the size as much as the significance. The significance is going to be 2, 3, 4, 10 times. And you guys missed out the first time through. Well, we didn't have the gold, silver, and bronze, but now we do. I don't think we had it back then. This isn't just about time, it's about leverage. And so Katrina's going to go through the 30-day challenge in a way nobody's ever been able to go through it, because she has a tool that nobody's ever had before, Life GPS, and it's a game changer. It really is. I mean, it really is. So anybody else have anything else? All right. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff going on in the quantum thinking sales boot camp training. Like, it moves fast. And so there's different levels. And so how do we get people through the first level, and then how do we get them into the second level? So it's like math. You don't want to start somebody on calculus or geometry. You start somebody on 1 + 1, get addition, and then get subtraction, get multiplication, and then get division down. And then you start getting into some fun stuff. So always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.